Egg quality matters. One of the most common questions from my patients is, Dr. Shahine, what can I do to improve my egg quality? So if you are curious about this, you are in the right place. You're going to learn so much today. Let's get started. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Dr. Lora Shahine, a double board certified OBGYN and reproductive endocrinologist, helping people build their families and learn about egg quality for over 20 years. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about with my patients and now with you. I really want you to understand what egg quality is, and I'm going to give you some solid tips to improve your egg quality, which really means just improving your overall fertility and reproductive health. Let's get started. What is egg quality exactly? Well, at its core, a good quality egg is able to ovulate, fertilize with a sperm, turn into a beautiful blastocyst or mature embryo, implant into the uterine cavity, and become a beautiful baby. At the end of the day, that is a high quality egg. When we're trying to understand egg quality and teach patients, it's hard to narrow it down. There's so many different ways to measure it and think about it, but I think about three important ways to talk about egg quality with my patients. Number one, somebody who is infertile, who's having multiple miscarriages, we think about egg quality as being one of the factors that could be leading to this struggle for building your family. Number two, if my patients are doing IVF, we get a little bit of a window into egg quality because the embryologists are actually seeing the eggs under the microscope. And I work with my embryologist to talk about egg quality and talk about my patients' outcomes. And they'll sometimes describe eggs to me. So remember, egg is a single cell. It's mainly water. Under the microscope, it just looks black and white. But my embryologist can really say, these eggs do not look like good quality. They're dark, they're grainy, they're full of vacuoles. There's certain ways that embryologists can communicate with the doctors to say there might be an egg quality issue here. Other things with IVF is if you're getting poor outcomes, if you're getting fewer eggs than you expect, low fertilization, low blastocyst formation rate, or low number of normal embryos, or just not getting pregnant or having miscarriages. If this whole process, there's poor outcomes that are happening with IVF, we think about egg quality as being one of the factors. There's so many things to think about. And so I'm not saying that if you're having these things, it's absolutely egg quality in your particular case, but it's something to think about. It's something to talk to your doctor about. And finally, number three, we think about ovarian reserve testing as a window into egg quality. Now, this too is absolutely not perfect, but we can do ultrasounds looking at antral follicle count. We can do blood tests looking at cycle day 3 follicle stimulating hormone levels, and then anti-Müllerian hormone levels or AMH levels. And listen, if you have a below average antral follicle count for your age, if you have a below average AMH level for your age, or elevated FSH level, these things can signal poor egg quality. It's not perfect. And there are people with horrible test results that get pregnant without assistance and have a beautiful baby. They're not the end all be all. But when you're talking about egg quality, these are three different ways that you can kind of think about it becoming a part of your discussion with your fertility doctor. When you're struggling with infertility, or having repeated miscarriages, poor outcomes with IVF, or embryologists seeing things under the microscope. And finally, if you have poor ovarian reserve testing, this is not black and white. It's not perfect, but it can all lead into a discussion and help you ask questions about, is egg quality a factor for me? And what can I do to improve my egg quality? Now, that's the second part. Why does egg quality matter? And what is it exactly? Well, I think about it as the functioning of the genes, and specifically the functioning of chromosomes. A poor quality egg is not going to be able to do all the genetic changes that it needs to in order to fertilize, turn into a mature embryo, implant, and be a baby. Now, remember, our genes are on stacks of Legos, I often describe it, called chromosomes. They look like X's if I take you back to biology. And in every cell in our body, we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. One copy comes from the egg that we came from, and one copy comes from the sperm that we came from. And eggs are unique in that when we are born, we have all the eggs we're going to have, and they're frozen in a genetic state called meiosis 1. I'm not going to go deep into biology class, I promise, but meiosis 1 is basically where there are two copies of each chromosome, and the eggs are sitting like this. And it's when we ovulate, whether we're 20 or 40, that our eggs have to get rid of half of the copies of the chromosomes in order to fertilize with sperm that give the other copy. And so older eggs make more mistakes. So I want you to understand age. I mean, there's so much talk about age and fertility, and it really is the age of the eggs. Of course, there's an age factor for sperm, but it's just not as dramatic. So we keep hearing about age, and it's so frustrating because that's something that you can't change and you can't turn back the clock. As my friend, Dr. Amy Avazadeh, you probably know her as Dr. Amy, says, we can't Botox our eggs. I wish that you could and sort of freeze time. Like you can freeze muscles in your face to decrease wrinkles, but you can't do that with your eggs. That's why people do egg freezing as an option for fertility preservation. Someone's not ready to get pregnant, but they know that the older their eggs get, the fewer of them are able to do all that genetic work that it takes to become a baby. So people will do stimulation, get the eggs out of the body and freeze them so that they can use them later in life when they're actually ready to get pregnant. It's not perfect. There's a lot to think about and goes into thinking about egg freezing, but that's all of this information kind of coming together. So we can't change age as far as egg quality is concerned, but there's a lot of research coming out that with the processing of going through meiosis one, reading DNA, reading genes, that what we do now as far as impacting the proteins that are around the DNA, the epigenetics, the things that are surrounding the genes and what gets turned on and turned off, things that we do today can actually help our DNA work better. We're going to get back to talking about egg quality in just a minute. I hope you're finding this information valuable because I talk to my patients about it every single day. I want to remind you just how important it is to support the show if at all possible. Wherever you are listening, hit the follow button right now. And if you have a moment and you find this information valuable, please give us a review. 5-star review, a little bit of information about why you find this valuable. Another way you can support the show is share this episode. Share it with a friend that you know is going through fertility or IVF and you know they want to learn a lot about egg quality. That's another way to help us out. So really hope you're finding this information helpful. Let's get back to talking about egg quality. Even if you can't turn back the clock and turn back age, there are things that you can do to improve your egg quality. Let's go over them. Tip number 1, limit these toxins: tobacco, alcohol, marijuana. Listen, the message is out about tobacco. Smoking, this includes vaping, will increase poor egg quality risk, increase risk of miscarriage. Smoking is out. A lot of patients give pushback when I talk about marijuana and alcohol. I understand it's a part of relaxing for people. I understand that some people really enjoy it, but alcohol and marijuana should not be a part of our everyday life. And it can absolutely impact our reproductive health, whether it's eggs or sperm. So really thinking about tobacco, alcohol, marijuana, these are things that you could limit at a minimum in order to improve your egg quality. Tip number 2, limit endocrine disruptors. So these are different types of toxins and they're in our home. I am talking about BPA or bisphenol A, parabens, phthalates, and lots of chemicals that have been made in the last couple decades and are in our everyday products: scents, laundry detergent, beauty products, plastics in our kitchen. A lot of these everyday products, maybe they could be safe with limited exposure, but when you add up all of the things that we're exposed to on an everyday basis, they really can start to impact our overall health and specifically our reproductive health. Limiting processed foods because they're often created using a lot of plastics along the process. Not using a plastic water bottle. Every once in a while, it's okay. I don't want to increase fear around this. I just want to say if you can limit exposure and choose safer products, overall, you're going to decrease your exposure, and that has been shown to improve your reproductive health, including egg quality. I really want to help educate you on ways to limit and decrease exposure. You can't eliminate it completely, but every little thing that you do can truly help tremendously. Tip number 3, manage stress. This is acute stress. This is chronic stress. I know it's tough to hear this because then you stress about stressing. Listen, we are all exposed to stress, But if we work on managing stress and coping techniques, whatever is right for you, taking a walk, acupuncture, therapy, meditation, yoga, time for yourself, reading, whatever it is, ways you can manage stress to decrease that constant exposure to cortisol levels. So much of what we're built on and what we're running on right now is this fight or flight kind of increased nervous system. This constant stress mode actually helps us function well. We can meet deadlines and meet goals in life, but that constant elevated cortisol level really increases inflammation throughout our body, and it can impact our overall health and well-being. So we can't eliminate stress, but we can manage it so that we can recover faster. And so find ways a little bit every single day. Journaling is another option. Talking to a friend, relaxing in the evening, whatever you need to do to kind of manage stress, find joy, have something to look forward to that can only improve our reproductive health and our egg quality. Tip number 4, think about your overall health and well-being. The things that you're doing, like getting sleep, focusing on nutrition, and thinking about exercise and moving your body, those 3 things are absolutely amazing for your overall health and well-being, and that will only improve your reproductive health as well. Nutrition, it's so important. We've already talked about the importance of decreasing processed foods as a way to decrease exposure to plastics and the endocrine disruptors that are in that process of processing foods. More fruits and vegetables and a balanced diet. Just, find joy. That doesn't mean that you can't ever have ice cream, because it's absolutely amazing. But if we make more choices towards higher nutrition, lowering fast food, lowering processed food, thinking about a Mediterranean diet, and specifically foods that can improve your fertility and foods that can actually harm your fertility. Exercise is also extremely important for your overall health and well-being and your egg quality. Too many people eliminate exercise because they're afraid of disrupting implantation or making the embryo fall out, and that is not good. Exercise is important for your mental health, for your physical health. You want to modify. You don't want to increase your cortisol levels because you're stressing your body out too much, but moving your body in a restorative way is magical. And number 5, finally, supplements. Supplements with antioxidants, something like vitamin A, vitamin E, coenzyme Q10, vitamin D can help reproductive health. Every time your cell is working and you're reading DNA, if there's a lot of oxidative stress and free radicals around the DNA as it's being used, that can decrease replication and function of the DNA and all of your cellular processes. So in general, increasing antioxidants, whether it's through the food that you're eating or through some well-chosen supplements, it can really improve your overall reproductive health and your egg quality. You've got to talk to your doctor about the supplements that you're taking. I talk about this a lot, that the supplement industry is a $200 billion industry, and most of the money is spent on marketing, not on high quality ingredients. And you don't need to buy the most expensive vitamin or supplement that's out there. You don't need to buy tons of different supplements. I talk to my patients about a really good multivitamin. So if someone's getting pregnant, it's a prenatal vitamin. And if it's the male partner, a multivitamin. And then vitamin D, I think, is essential especially for my patients living in the Pacific Northwest. I practice in Seattle, and so many people are vitamin D deficient. And then the only extra antioxidant, which is not in most multivitamins or prenatal vitamins, is coenzyme Q10. And that can be really helpful in DNA replication and use of cellular functions. And that's exactly what the egg is doing. Absolutely talk to your doctor first before you take anything, and always review with your doctor. When they ask you about medications that you're taking, don't just include prescription medications, include the supplements as well, because it's really important to communicate about this. Now, the number 1 warning that I have for you, just like I have for all of my patients before they start to implement these 5 ways to improve egg quality, is don't lose joy in the process. So much of fertility and taking back control of fertility because you feel like you've lost it is elimination. Like, I will be better, I'll be more fertile if I cut out this and this and this. And it starts to become a spiral. I am on the 80% plan. So if 80% of the time you can focus on nutrition and getting sleep and exercise and taking your supplements and all the things that we talked about, that is perfection. 80% is perfection. You have got to enjoy that ice cream every once in a while. Oh my gosh, if you are going out to celebrate your birthday or a friend's anniversary, you're enjoying a dinner out, have a glass of wine, have a glass of champagne, enjoy your life. These things are not meant to restrict and eliminate and take things out of your life that you enjoy. It's just everything in moderation and making more positive and healthy choices than things that we sometimes enjoy, but we know really aren't very good for us. I hope you found this episode valuable. I love talking to people about ways that they can take action to improve their reproductive health. And that's really just another word for egg quality. Egg quality is this term that's sort of thrown around, but it's ways to improve your fertility, your reproductive health, your egg quality, however you want to define it. And I hope that you found it helpful. You can find this episode and all others of this podcast on my website, drlorashahine.com, along with other valuable information. Sign up for my weekly newsletter to learn all about educational content and things that I recommend, and my Instagram and books that I've written. I really want to provide the education that you need for your reproductive health and well-being. Thank you to my team at Audiotocracy for producing the show. And until next week, wishing you love, luck, and pineapples.